So let's face it, there are so many watercolor paper brands out there, and it can get really overwhelming trying to choose the right one for you. So today I'm going to do something that I honestly wish I had done years ago if I had had the money to do so. And that is to have a battle royale for watercolor paper brands. Now, this is actually something that I've wanted to do for a while. So I've actually been collecting paper for probably over the past year, and then some of these papers I have collected in the past weeks based on your suggestions. Now, I bought all of these brands with my own money, and to try and make the playing field as even as possible among all of these different brands, I bought only 140-pound cold press watercolor paper and then cut each of these papers into the same size so they look nearly identical. Now, I was going to do this battle of the brands in just one video, but as I started painting these illustrations, I realized that there were more objectives that I really wanted to test out with these brands. So that's the reason why I came up with the idea of breaking this into 3 parts, and each part would be a battle round targeting a specific objective. So with that all cleared up, let's go ahead and start with round 1. Now, I'm going to say this flat out. Watercolor supplies are very much a personal preference to the artist. So these objectives that I've created for round 1 and eventually round 2 and round 3, they are going to be targeted of what I prefer in watercolor papers. And for round 1, these are the objectives that I'm going to be looking for in each paper. So for each round, I'm going to pair 2 watercolor paper brands against one another and then determine the final winner based on the following objectives. The first objective is paint absorption. Did the paint absorb evenly into the paper? The second objective is color vibrancy. Does the color look vibrant on the paper, especially during the finished product? The third objective is smooth washes. I personally don't really like a lot of texture in my watercolor. And finally, the last 2 objectives that I'm going to be looking at is correction and then overall feel. So is it easy to lift or correct mistakes while I'm painting the illustration? And then finally, was the paper easy to paint on as a whole? So those are the objectives that I'm going to be looking for when I pair each of these papers against one another. And basically what we're going to be doing is filling a bracket throughout the course of this entire video and deciding which paper brand goes to the next round. Now, to try and keep this as unbiased as possible, when I am painting on these particular papers, I have completely removed the names. I know which paper brands are being paired against each other, but I don't know which one is on which side. And I did this purposefully to try and make sure that I am not being pulled by a particular brand name, but rather really concentrating on how the paper feels while I'm painting on it. And to make things interesting for you as well, I'm also going to be hiding the brand names until after the winner is declared. So you also kind of get to see the experience as a whole with unbiased eyes. And here's the results for this battle. Canson XL finally won over Strathmore, but I have to say this paper wasn't the easiest to work with. So moving on to Battle 2. as you can see, this round was really a no-brainer. Saunders won hands down against Grumbacher, and it was a very easy choice. Now moving on to battle number 3. This was a very close battle, but in my book, ultimately Fabriano won because of the smooth textures. That is just a personal style of mine, so I am sending this one on. And our next battle is going to be Bee Paper and Winsor and Newton. So once again, these two were really close, but B won out for me due to its ease of painting on, its vibrancy, and its smooth washes. And finally, our last battle is going to be Arches, a tried and true brand, and Homomule, which is, in my opinion, a newer brand. I didn't actually really know about this brand until about maybe 2 years ago. So I am putting these two up against each other. So I want to know, who do you think is going to win? And if you are right, please make sure to leave a comment down below. So these two were incredibly, incredibly close. I would say out of all the papers, these two were the closest and best paired towards one another. And yeah, it was a pretty big shocker for me as well. I actually was having a really hard time choosing which of these papers I felt should go on. And so I asked my husband to actually help me choose. But after looking at both of the papers up close, we both felt like the one on the left was a little bit more vibrant and a little bit smoother. And lo and behold, that was chamomile. Now, you might have noticed that there is still one blank left in our brackets for round 2. And this is where your input is very much wanted. So here is where your voice comes in. I really want you to vote which paper of the ones that lost should I move on to the next round. Basically, you're going to be saving one of the quote-unquote underdog papers to move forward to the next round for a second chance. Now, personally, I have my own opinion of which paper I really want to move forward, and I really hope y'all choose that one because I really want that one to move forward, but I'm going to ultimately let y'all decide. So make sure to vote in the poll in the corner. What paper should continue to the next round? I'm really excited to see the results, and next week we will have a whole new set of objectives to battle out with the 6 remaining brands. Oh, and also before I leave, if you want to learn how to paint foxes the way I did in this particular video, make sure to check out my fox course for beginners. I'll link it down below. Just so you know, anytime you purchase a course from me, it helps this channel and allows me to make more videos similar to this. So if you want more content similar to this, please make sure to support this channel by buying those courses. And anyway, that is it for this video. Hopefully you had fun. I know I did. I'm really excited for round 2. I'm going to be working with round 2 with more wet and wet. These particular illustrations did not require a lot of water, so I think the results might be a little bit different if we add more water to the equation. So I'm excited to see the results for the next video. Once again, remember to vote, and lots of love, y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.